Hello, internet. I gotta come up with a new intro, don't I? I don't know. That one's getting a little old, I think. But my name's John Kulas. Some wise guy is playing tricks on me, it looks like. But my name's John Kulas. I'm a 20-year professor of industrial and organizational psychology, 10-year user of R for what most people consider normal applications, statistical analysis. And for the last 7 or 8 years, I've also been using R to author things. So to wrap an entire project within the same platform, not just doing analyses, but also summarizing those analyses. And we do that with papers and technical reports and feedback reports and slides, oh my, all kinds of stuff. And so every week I come here and hang out, and sometimes I get compatriots that show up. I think most of my compatriots are kind of otherwise occupied this week. It's a busy week for industrial psychologists. We have our primary national conference that's taking place this week, and we're a small field of psychology, so we don't have all that many options. Most of us, in terms of what we do for applications, don't have a ton of professional, national level professional society opportunities, and so it's kind of like an occupational holiday ish, I guess, for industrial psychologists. So I'm guessing that most of the people that would pop by are gonna be otherwise occupied with conference stuff. I know Diego was talking last time I met with him. He was talking about finishing up his poster, which is actually relevant for what we're gonna do tonight. But anyway, I digress. So every week I get together, sometimes alone, sometimes with friends, and we make ourselves available to the internet. If there's anyone out there who's interested in trying to build skill or experience, just encompassing your entire project within one authoring platform. So have the platform that you're doing your analyses in also be the platform that you communicate the results of your analysis with, regardless of whether that, again, ends up being a slide presentation or a formal academic paper or a conference poster. I'm going to have fun with this, I think, tonight. So we just hang out for an hour, and we use the metaphor of academic office hour. So OOH stands for Open Office Hour. And we're here if anyone wants to pop by, knock on our door, and ask a question. Maybe just kind of, uh, sometimes it's good to just bounce ideas off of other people who are familiar with the platform. And so we're here for that. Um, in the absence of someone wanting to talk about a focal, specific, kind of local issue that they have, what we've been doing is we've been covering just features as well. And so last week was the first week that we took a look at this newer document type, uh, syntactic type structure for a document, I guess is maybe a better way to present it. So typist is a scripting format that Quarto has facilitated in terms of the Quarto authoring platform itself. And so it's been enveloped. It's actually something that is being supported and developed by Quarto. And last week was the first we checked it out. So this is, and it's, I'm sure, a complete oversimplification, but it's an alternative to producing PDF documents to the traditional tech or LaTeX scripting. Um, and so one of the things we saw last week was just how blazingly fast it is in terms of generating these PDFs from the typist script. I gotta figure that out. I did talk to somebody this week, and they said that they saw another resource talking about this, and they also pronounced it typist. So I think we'll just stick with that. It's better for the memes and it's easier to say, so we'll just stick with it. So tonight we're going to continue our look into typist. Last week, well, let's see what happened last week here.
Well, it looks as if our friends will never get to Mount Flatten and Bullwinkle's mine, for they have just met up with their old nemesis, Boris Badenov, disguised as a wealthy desert chieftain.
Abu Ben Boris at your service.
What's more, on the pretext of showing him a mirage, Boris has sent Bullwinkle to dreamland, drawn a wicked-looking sword, and followed Rocky and Captain Peach Fuzz into his tent.
Can you lead us out of this desert, Mr. Abu Ben Boris?
Call me Benny.
Well, can you?
You said it, Effendi. Well, let's get started then. There's only one little hitch.
What's that?
You ready to pay?
Pay? Where's all that desert hospitality I've heard so much about?
Oh, I'm hospitable. You can stay as long as you like, free from charge.
I love that show, and I love the way it's structured. I love the animation. I love the voices, except Peach Fuzz. Like I just every time that guy's on there, it's too campy. I know it's a 1950s cartoon, but it's just there's so much of it that has so much subtext, and I'm not going to get into the cultural impact of Rocky and Bullwinkle, but anyway, Peach Fuzz kind of annoys me a little bit. So last week we took our first look at typist, and again, if you want to check out these slides, they're always linked in the comments. I have hyperlinks throughout, and the first hyperlink is just taking you to the root page for the presentation of kind of what typist is and how to structure and your syntax. But as we were looking through that last week, we came across some template examples, and one of the template examples that just visually, it's a great screen grab because just coming across it, we're like, whoa, you can do that as a PDF document using this with this template, and go away, download. And so we played with this. We ended up playing with this all of last week. So much so that I don't think we'll do it again this week. But there's a hyperlink on this. If you click it, it'll take you to the template if you didn't take a look at last week's show. And there's pretty straightforward instructions. I almost call them directions, but I guess that would only work for a recipe, right? Instructions on how to access the template, and the format here, it's consistent with what we've been doing for all these Quarto extensions, and that is at your terminal just type in some Quarto commands. So the Quarto package within R, it gives you some buttons to interact with in your IDE, but some of these capabilities that we've been playing with don't yet have that push button functionality, so you might need to interact with the terminal and put in some actual commands. And so that's how we've been installing and using and accessing these extensions. It's pretty it's pretty harmless in terms of process. So now that we've done a few of them, I guess the one trick that helps when you're using those extensions is to work within a project directory. And if anyone has any questions on what that is, drop a note and we can spend a little more time on how to create projects and use projects. It's a useful way of structuring your interaction with, especially when you're authoring things, I think. So for years, working on projects, I would have project folders, and within those folders, I might have a scripting folder with, for me, it was primarily SPSS syntax files. And so I was used to dealing with project folders, but in a very siloed, I guess, manner. So I would have the analyses kind of hidden away in their own little corner of my computer, and then the place that was kind of the home for all of that would be a Word document where where you could import the results from your separate data analysis program. And so the whole point of doing what we're doing is obviating the need to do all of that stuff. Anyway, so if you create a project folder for whatever it is you're trying to produce, it helps with workflow, but it also helps tremendously with scripting for analytical purposes. The specification of where stuff is becomes a lot less important when you're working within a project directory, and it's very helpful. Especially it's extremely helpful for those using Macs. It shouldn't be that much more useful, but tends to be. So Mac users, in my experience, tend to be a little less familiar with the concept of where stuff is located on the Mac as opposed to the PC tradition. I think for whatever reason that seems to be less of a foreign concept for PC users. My goodness, I'm rambling tonight. I'm sorry. Okay, so the actual specification for the creation of this template on the left here, with these nice looking chemists doing something very important, it looks like, saving the world, no doubt. It's the entire thing is accomplished via this 52, roughly 52 line bit of script, and this is a QMD file. You see that the actual format of it is a typist file. Now the format specification here on lines 13 and 14 looks a little bit different because this is part of the template that we're calling up here, the department news typist template. That's going to be something that becomes readable, accessible, usable if you have the template extension within your project directory. And so we didn't play too much with this. You can obviously have some really obvious quick alterations in terms of just the content here. There's a direct one-to-one mapping between the scripting and the what you see in the left-hand pane here. Now one of the things that we did play with was content, so we changed the picture and we can change the department pretty easily. But if you start to overflow in terms of information that you have that's not quite spaced the same, or it's not quite the same amount, or you want to change the color, so that level of tweaking we didn't get into last week. I think that's okay, because I'm guessing that the kind of under the hood stuff that we're going to have to amend in order to make those sorts of changes, we can also test out with the academic poster, which we're going to do tonight. So last week we checked out this kind of cool flyer or pamphlet type template, which, as we said last week, I can't even imagine how many hairs I would pull out of my head trying to get this specified with LaTeX. And so the fact that a template exists that we can build off of and have something really nice that we could send out to department alumni and things like that, current students. I mean, I'm just thinking academic because it says chemistry department. But obviously this would serve a purpose within an organization as well. These pamphlets, flyers, types, they continue to be very, very popular for all kinds of different uses and applications. So I think we can probably have some of the same level of just kind of taking something apart and seeing what it looks like and seeing if it works, if we put it back together, fun, with the poster that we would with the pamphlet. So I guess maybe we'll come back to the pamphlet, but tonight I think since there are other things that have kind of a similar feel or flavor, I think we'll try those out as well. And so, because I don't know, the universe seems to be saying that we should do this, because, as I mentioned, this is for my field, it is the week of our national convention or conference, and we only have it once a year because we are this kind of small specialized field within psychology. But one of the ways that we communicate to other people in our field the results of the things that we're working on is through a conference poster. And I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago in terms of the purpose of them and the kind of tradition of them as a part of these academic conferences. What you see here on the left is one fairly typical way to structure what a conference poster looks like, and these are typically blown up to like 3 feet by 5 feet dimensions, and then they're tacked on to poster board, and you have a limited amount of time to present the results of whatever it is that you've been investigating, and interested people or just kind people who don't want you to feel bad for just standing there like an idiot. They'll walk around and interact with you and ask you what you did, and sometimes critique what you did or get a little critical. That's fun too. But the for years there wasn't a ton of innovation in terms of what these things tended to look like. And this one right now, the way that it's situated, does kind of look like those. For years, they haven't changed. It kind of looks like this. There's a branding for the organization that you're representing here. It's NC State. It's large and it's appropriate colors for that university. I'm guessing. I only know through like academic or not academic, but athletic kind of associations. And then there's a title and names of authors and affiliations in terms of computer science department. And then hopefully not a lot of text, but quite a few pictures. That tends to make a better poster. But again, in my field, it's common to have these represent basically a mini version of a paper. So there might be a little introduction. There's probably a little introduction section, a little method section, a little results section, a little discussion section, and then sometimes references. There's no references on this one, and there's a lot of lorem ipsum in there. So just a lot of kind of empty placeholder for taking up space. But I think we can. That's okay. We can actually try to generate this template and see how much we can tweak it or how much we might want to tweak it. I One thing that I really appreciate of this that I like is the footers on this. So the footers on this, we have a URL for the conference itself, specification of the conference in the middle, and then right justified we have contact information for whatever. It would probably be one of the authors. And one of the things we've done with our conference posters in the past is we have included QR codes, but we could just put a URL as well, just like I've been hosting these weekly slides. So in the comments, if you if you follow the hyperlink, it'll take you to an online hosting of the slides. We've done this with conference posters as well. So we have many of them up there on up there in the internet in hosted on GitHub, and so many of our conference posters are just available via hyperlink on GitHub, and the hyperlink in the header in the footer itself is kind of a neat way to incorporate something like that. So I like to see that. And then the other thing that I thought we probably should do, because we didn't do it last week because we jumped straight into that pamphlet that looked so neat, we should probably just look at kind of default specification. So what typist is intended for just out of the box instead of these extensions that have specialized purpose. So I'm going to hit that hyperlink. It's going to bring us back to just the main typist help page that kind of describes what it is and some of the specifications that we can make. Now, I did do a little more exploration, and not as much as I intended or wanted, but I did do a little more exploration into things like fenced divs and bracketed spans, and whether these YAML specifications can be applied not in the YAML but for sections of text. So not the whole document, but just for targeted sections. And it looks like for the most part, yes, that is. Now you also see that this is kind of a work in progress. So my understanding is typist itself outside of Quarto is still relatively new and in development. And so certainly this is something that we're expecting not to work perfectly. Now, Posit's been fantastic about what they choose to release and the functionality of the products and the versions that are released. So I have absolutely no concerns. It's interesting that so high up on this help page, they actually have kind of a, hey, there's still some stuff that we're working on here or aren't quite sure about. Now, one of the things that we were really geeked out about, I say we, I think it was just me last week, but one of the things that I was really hyper kind of interested in was the Quarto syntactic structure that uses those bracketed spans and fenced divs and curly brackets for content styling specification as opposed to LaTeX. And so again, I'm getting, in 5, 10 years, I'm guessing that one of the aims of Quarto is going to be to try to have a single source typesetting language that works for all types of products. Not quite there yet, but typist seems to be an option that's working toward that goal. The flavor of scripting with the typist files is a lot more similar to an HTML product as opposed to trying to script and customize with a standard LaTeX command structure with a PDF product output. I probably described that poorly. But let's try some of these. Let's try some of these just kind of YAML options first, and then maybe we'll see if we can get some of those similar types of commands to work only in targeted sections of our document. So here you see a default layout, and then this column layout. The column layout, it just nice from a typesetting perspective, looks nice. And certainly it's nice to have control over that if you want. I have feedback reports, and the one that I've been working on most recently and most most carefully, it is formulated. It is actually structured in columns like this, and there's pictures embedded in there as well. So traditionally that even something as seemingly simple as that is not always that simple to execute. So we'll see how this works in Typist. Let me quit yammering here and let's just open up a file. And again, there is not, if we go to Quarto document, I don't believe I have the most recent version of, I don't think I have the most recent version of RStudio. So it's possible that, yeah, there is an update available. So I've probably been ignoring that. But it's possible that if we go to new file, Quarto document, with a newest version of this IDE, RStudio, that one of the default, actually I'm kind of curious, next week. So next week what we'll do, because I don't want to wait here on an install, that would be a waste of time. But I think next week what we'll do is I'll try to update my RStudio, and we'll look and see if the typist document type comes up in the wizard as an option. Now I also saw on Twitter there was some chatter on Twitter. There's chatter on X about some enhancements that are coming to some of the wizards that they use within. It might have been Positron, not RStudio. So even though there's a new release that I need to install, apparently there's some neat other features that are going to be coming soon. My recommendation always is to render these documents just with very little tweaking to them, just to make sure that your local machine is set up with everything it needs in order to produce the document that you're hoping to produce. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get out of this project directory just because it's too populated, even though I do recommend working generally in project directories. I have so many right now that I'm not going to proliferate them. So I'm not going to create one, but I'm also not going to clutter my existing project directory that's not focused on typist with a typist document. So I'm just gonna work in a non-recommended way outside of a project directory. So we'll look for that document. We'll just accept the HTML because typist is not currently an option in that wizard. We'll say playing with typist, even though we're asking for an HTML. Make sure an HTML file works first. Where do we want to put it? Put it on my desktop. Looks like I already have. That must have been where I put it last week. So just overwrite that, and HTML file ran. Again, the standard format prior to typist, if you want a PDF document, is just PDF. But this is going to require the specification of a text file, and that text file needs to be compiled into a PDF. Typist seems to be able to sidestep that necessary sequence of steps. And so normal looking PDF file. The amount of time that it took to render is one of the things that we really paid attention to last week. I'm just going to ask for a typist file instead with the default information, and it does accept that as an option. Again, we played with fonts a little bit last week. I forgot about that because they do have this really neat queue that the bottom of the queue, the foot or the toe of the queue, comes all the way underneath the U. Love it. I think we kind of did some detective work last week to try to figure out what that default font was, and we came up with the family, but we weren't able to identify exactly what that was. But we saw some really easy and quick overrides that we can add to change the fonts. So take a look at that. Last week's session if you're interested in that. This week, I think we'll take a look at some of. Did I lose it? I think I lost my. I keep closing tabs. I think it's a good habit that I actually have to not have a quadrillion tabs open at any point in time. But it's not a great. It's not great for this weekly session where we should probably keep these things open if we're going to use them. Instead of copying, I'm going to try typing these in just to see what kinds of mistakes people can make when they're specifying this. Now, the Quarto documents all use this same kind of structure where if you want to get more specific with the specifications of what your file is going to look like, usually in terms of styling, you're going to hard return off of that format : output type, and then underneath and further specified within the output type, we're going to get a little more specialized. And so format, when it comes in as a default file, if you're working through the wizard and playing with just the mostly empty, devoid of substantive content file, it's going to come in on the same line as format. I don't know if I over-explained stuff before I was a professor, but I was a professor for so long that I think it's now part of my personality. So, sorry. I indented and hard returned off of the format and then put a colon after typist. Didn't close my tab this time, so we're going to look at some other stuff. It has paper size. I don't know that we want to play with that so much. Margins I'm interested in, and columns is the one that I'm really interested in. So I think let's take a look and see how that works. It's a good sign when the autocomplete comes up like that. And there should be some internal logic here in terms of where it places things. Now we don't have enough content in order to display the second column, so it's just going sequentially from top to bottom. So we can grab some content. Let's grab, what should we look for? Maybe Moby Dick? Whoop. Moby Dick with, I gotta be careful on that one, don't I? Let's see if we can grab any, there we go. Call me Ishmael. You know, I've never read Moby Dick. I know a lot of the characters. Queeleg? Maybe I don't know all the characters. Queeleg and Starbuck. There's a Starbuck in there. I do like Battlestar Galactica, the old one, not the new one. I haven't seen the new one, so the new one might be fine. But Starbuck, I know actually comes from. I think it comes from Moby Dick. Captain Ahab, of course. Is it Queeleg or Queequeg? The heck is it? Let's see if there's a find function here. If it can find it. I don't know if Queeleg is in here. I'm not sure I can do a search on this, but it looks very nice. Should we try three columns? I'm not sure if we can get three columns. I wonder if Melville ever envisioned or forethought. Oh, look at this, actually.
Vamos a ver, ¿qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que sí, qué está pasando con los alcaldes?
Hey, hello.
Diego, sorry, I wasn't looking. I don't know if you were waiting for a long time. I was.
No, no. I just came in. You're doing a poster today?
Yes. Thanks for prompting me because I would have just done my normal professor thing and like stayed on this for probably 20 minutes. But yes, I'm gonna do the post. Did you finish your poster for PsyOp?
Yes, and I printed it already.
Okay.
I
Okay.
went to Staples and they charged me so much compared to Poster Ninja, or that place I
Yeah.
printed a couple of years ago.
Yeah. They're all expensive. Let me try that. I'm just gonna try three columns on this. See if it will work. Three is a lot. Actually, it does work. Okay. Have you ever read Moby Dick, Diego?
No, I saw the movies, but I didn't read it. The
There was
actual
a
whole
movie
thing.
about Moby Dick.
Yeah, there's several. There's
Are you thinking Pinocchio? Because I know there's a whale in Pinocchio.
no, the actual white whale. There's like a couple. One of them has Patrick, Captain Picard.
Oh, really?
Cap, yeah, Patrick Stewart. He plays the captain. What's his name? The one that has one leg. That's almost every pirate. I don't know. What was his name? Captain
Ahab?
Ahab. Yeah. Yeah.
And then is his first mate? His first mate's name Starbuck or Queeleg or Queequog or something like that?
It's Ismail or Israel, the guy, the protagonist, and then he has an Indian friend, right?
Yeah, that's who it is. Okay. Do you remember
Uh,
the name of the Indian friend?
no, no, it was something funny though.
I think that might be Queequeg or Queeleg. Yeah, here we took from Moby Dick here, so I just needed content. So the first sentence in Moby Dick, I believe, is "Call me Ishmael." I think that's accurate. One thing I think before we get to the poster, let's take a look at those margins. So it went crazy all the way up to we just did 6 columns, so that was kind of cool. Um, but there's also this X and Y margin here, and I wonder if the crazy number of columns is going to be more reasonable if we play with the margins. So let's just do one of them. So X should be left and right, right? If this is normal two-dimensional plotting space. So we're looking for that white area on the edges to minimize, and it did. This typist, Diego, this is the first I played with it, and I really, really am impressed. Like, it's just so fast, and the the styling specifications are just easy. You can go right to the edge. Look at that. Wow.
Oh yeah. So it
Wow.
gets trouble if you try to do it other ways.
What? Oh, yeah, the LaTeX would be crazy with this. So we can fill up the whole. I don't know if it'll let me do 0. If you're watching this, of course, you can try it. And I guess we're here. Might as well try it. Let's try 0. It might plot off this. Are you like in Zambia or something, Diego? What was that? Are you in
Zambia?
some? Are you in some exotic location?
No, I'm just here in my house. Why? You here?
It
Or you're
sounded like an
here?
exotic bird.
Oh. It was probably just Mealy watching the cartoons in the other room.
Oh, well, it was cool. It was a cool noise. It wasn't, it wasn't unwanted. It sounded great. So you can code zero. So zero goes right to the edge. It's, I mean, that's can't get any closer to the edge than that. It's you can see the F. It doesn't look like it. So it's funny. I've been reading the I've been reading the author of LaTeX kind of discussions about LaTeX and the level of detail that he put into thoughts about typesetting and just like the offsetting of there's different terminology and obviously didn't read it that closely because the terminology is escaping me right now, but just even the kind of difference between the G here and the F in terms of they're both properly specified, but the location now this is also justified such that both should be at the edge. But there's actual term. Oh, here we see a little overplotting. So never mind. It looks like the comma after water is a little overplotted. Okay, so playing with the limits of it looks like we can actually plot a little bit over the edge of the document. But Diego's here and he just put together his presentation, so his poster. So let's show him what he should have done. And I say that not knowing if this is any good or not. So Diego and I have, I'm sorry, not any good, but not knowing whether this is something that we would want to leverage or not. Diego and I have done posters using Poster Down, which is a package from the R Markdown ecosystem, or which is a package that kind of uses similar philosophies to some of the other down type packages, blog down, book down, etc. But Diego, we always had a little difficulty specifying like where we wanted stuff and right with poster down. Uh,
Yeah.
did we ever use any other? I know we had looked into other packages to generate conference posters. Do you remember if we used any of those?
No, I don't remember any other than Poster Down and Quarto. I don't remember any other
Okay.
package for posters that we used.
Okay. I think there are a couple, but so this would be the second one that you and I kind of really look at. And again, so this is gonna be most useful if this is done in a project directory. I'm not going to do that. So looks like there's quite a few files that it put, quite a few image files. That's interesting. So let's read a little more of the documentation.
Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, I saw that too. So poster size, this is good. So they have, I said 3 by 5. There's this 3 by 2. So a
Uh,
smaller
the one I
poster.
the one I printed was 3 by 4. That's 36 by 48.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I said 3 by 5. 3 by 4 is probably more common. So we should have an example QMD file that we can use. I'm gonna have to look for it a little bit because I don't have a project directory. So I'm gonna have to hunt and peck for that. That should be somewhere on my desktop. Doggone it. Um, oh, there's a. My goodness. I have a lot of examples, don't I? I can. Whoops. I'm going to actually use my File Explorer and go to my desktop and have a different view here so I can organize by date. We can see Maybe I didn't put it on my desktop.
Are you
Uh,
listening to the Malcolm in the Middle music?
oh, can you
Oh
hear the
no.
music? What's
Yeah,
the
but
milk
now it's different. No, I thought it was a different song.
for you or for me?
I thought I was hearing the Malcolm in the Middle music in the background. You know how you have jazz? You always have like jazz in the background.
Yeah.
I thought it was Malcolm in the Middle music.
No, it's the same. Uh, it's the same I always play. It's just lounge music. See, oh, I was in a different directory. That's the problem. User Ergoodman. What did it say? Documents. Yeah, it's. I've been listening to the same music for like 20 years, Diego. I probably
I
need.
know.
I could probably use some help with that. So there's our template. You know, I I'm not sure where the actual example file is. I don't see it. It says it should be. This is a great tutorial. Can't figure out how to get it. Little file, install a format extension, create an example QMD file. Well, I don't see the example QMD file, so I'm kind of tempted to actually create create a project directory and see if maybe we're just missing it. So let me try that real quick here. So we're going to reinstall. I'll do it within a project directory. So when are you taking off, Diego?
I'm taking off tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Well, not taking off. It's actually part of my job to go there and represent ETS.
Yeah, and you're presenting, right? What are you presenting?
My dissertation.
Oh, okay. I'm not on that, am I? I'm not. I'm not implicated anywhere on that, am I?
No.
Okay. What session do you have? What are the other posters that are going to be there?
Um, uh, so my boss, he has a panel actually with skills-based hiring. No, it's skills. Yeah, it's skills-based hiring and new ways of, it kind of like certificates and badges. Alternative ways of getting, work-ready skills without having to go to higher education, or in addition to higher education.
Do you have any sessions that you're looking forward to attending?
Not really. I'm really looking at it at all.
Y-
My a coworker of mine is also going, and he's presenting about. I think it relates to the hybrid, the forced choice that we've been talking about, that you were intrigued about. Are you going, by the way? Because Katrina told me that you weren't.
No, I have a conflict. So I'm doing
Uh,
that. I picked up that class and it's Thursday. I don't get done Thursday until like 6:30. So I would miss all of the social stuff. So I decided not to. But yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys. Uh, next year I don't generally miss it. So missing one, I can't see myself missing two in a row. So I hope to see you guys next year. Um,
yeah, for sure.
the So while we were talking about conferences, I was kind of doing some exploration here, and the location of those files was a lot easier to find if we did do this in a project directory. Like I said, I, s- I said earlier, I'm like, we should work in project directories. And then, of course, when I try to do it without a project directory. But um, creating a project directory,
It's
there
like
is,
it's like a doctor that smokes
yeah,
and drinks heavily.
yeah, yeah, they used to be some of the worst, right? Notorious for kind of bad health behaviors. Well, now this picture, I don't see it on the poster, but it came in the extensions folder. We can change NC state. Should we look for a Montclair state branding here, Diego?
Yeah, the Montclair logo and bird. Not the bird. The
Rocky.
Rocky. Yes.
There's Rocky. Now, we usually did put this on our posters, Diego and I. So I'm going to save it.
I have. I already have ones that don't have the background. If you want to remove it, I already have them with the background removed.
I think we're going to be okay because currently the background is white. Now, I think that's something that maybe we can play with and see if we can change that. Uh, there's not a lot of information on. Oh, this is that file type. We'll see if this works. Quarto isn't overly keen on that WebB type file type, so we'll try it. But we'll also do a PNG, which is more normal, I guess. That web one it does have the background transparent on it. It looks to me like just from the preview. So now let's look for where that's actually specified. Institution logo, that's pretty easy. So what do we call it? Montclair. It's just so fast. It's very fast. So I mean, it's a nice and easy tweak. Should we see if we can get Rocky on there?
Yeah.
It looks like it might have pushed content, so that image, we might want to play with that a little bit, but let's look for. So, by the way, Diego and I, if anyone's watching this, we met at Montclair State University. Diego was a rock star student, and I was a middling professor. So, oh, this is another web file type. There's Rocky and his girlfriend. We'll do that in front of the eagle. So the Montclair State mascot is a red hawk, and there's this big statue that actually, I don't know, Diego, did you park in the parking ramp or did you park in the cheap lot with the rest of us? I don't remember.
In the cheap lot.
Okay. So
Sometimes I could go to the ramp.
so we would walk past this statue almost every day, right? Like this was between the cheap lot and the psychology building.
Oh yes.
And everyone when they graduate like to take their pictures with. So let me see here. Now, one thing that we don't get that I'm used to getting because we usually use GitHub for our workflows is it's not as convenient to see what files are in this project directory. So I'm going to navigate kind of inefficiently to a place where we decided to put it on my desktop, not my desktop, erg admin desktop. And I put a Diego folder in there, and in the images of that, we have Rocky and his girlfriend. And of course, it's got just a ridiculous name to it. I don't know who. I guess I decided that. Let's see. It's a PNG file. See what that looks like. See how it handles. Now, PDFs generally are great for resolution on images, and so this also looks great. Look at that. That's fantastic resolution, actually. Like, I can see the feathers on Rocky's girlfriend. Do you know what her name is, Diego? Rocky's girlfriend?
He has a girlfriend.
Yeah, she's right
Thought
there.
thought it was just like his brother or something. Oh no, it's a girl. Has a skirt.
Yeah. She looks kind of mad too. She got weird eyebrows. Maybe Rocky's in trouble. Um, so, the content of it uh, is straightforward. The images, in terms of what we put in there, this is kind of normal scripting in terms of exclamation point, square brackets, and then what you want to refer to it as um, in the square brackets. So that should show up here. Yeah, the figures. One nice thing it's doing automatically, and the template must be doing that, is it's identifying this image as a numbered figure. So it's coming in on the poster as figure 1, um, even though there's no formal specification. So that's something, if you didn't want it, you'd probably have to discontinue, but we can call it birds of a feather. And then maybe instead of the Rosetta Stone, oh, that's where the Rosetta Stone comes from. We'll just put in. So I think we'll do an image, and then we'll maybe do a code chunk and see what that looks like, and then we can just call it, because otherwise this looks great. The other thing I guess we could play with is maybe um, is that an Oriole? The other thing we can play with maybe is number of columns, I think, on the poster itself. Oriole JPEG. All right, let's try that. How do you spell Oriole?
Oreo.
I didn't like that. I think I spelled it wrong. How the heck did I spell it? I'm gonna have to find. Doggone it. JPEG without the E. JPEG, not JPEG. JPEG. The Oriole was right, the JPEG wasn't. So here we're getting our bird-themed poster starting to fill up. You see the difference in terms of the identification of it. Now, one thing that we don't have on here is cross-referencing. So to cross-reference it, we should be able to put a hashtag. Well, let's try that in a second. The first thing I think was, let's see what happens if we blow up that width. See if it'll take the entire column. Now, I would imagine that's going to push the rest of the content down. And yeah, it did. But, I mean, that's nice. That's an easy way to play with the actual styling of the image itself. There is a plot in here. There's a table as well. Another image. I thought we would play with a code chunk, but it's already coming in. Let's see if we can alter the number of columns. That might be kind of hardwired into it, but it might be something that we can specify on. Oh, look at this. We can actually play with the colors. So this looks like a hex code, but it's usually there's a hashtag in front of it. So let's see if we can change it to our channel favorite, badass. Have you been around when we've been using the badass color, Diego?
No.
It's BADA55.
Oh.
It's like a kind of
Oh,
a,
it's green.
yeah, like
Oh, I
there's.
love green.
Oh, okay, well there you go. You're badass. So that's obviously easy. The actual contact information, this is coming in baked to it. So again, there's not a lot of customization that is baked into the YAML here in terms of the specifications that we're actually seeing. However, before we stop, let's see if there is any more information in terms of other sorts of YAML specifications that come built in. So we might have to play with the typist specification a little bit if we want to get super customized here. Let's see. So I'm just looking to see if there's any other YAML specifications. Again, a lot of this stuff, the original specifications is not for Quarto. It's just Quarto has adopted it and facilitated there we go. So there's some other YAML options that come with the typist outside of Quarto way of specifying this. I'm going to see if this is currently recognized by Quarto. So there is a num columns option here that's not in our template, and let's see what it does. Yeah, it didn't do anything. So it looks like this is probably still being transported, being supported, but a normal, and many of them have this format, so a normal 3-column poster is just fine. The headings, I guess, it looks like we have first level headings. So in psychology, we'd probably do introduction, methods, results. Oh, there's a second level heading. So I was curious about this. So within methods, we might have a materials section, and we might have a participants section. Although for psychologists, the participants, it's people, so it's not going to be birds. It's probably going to be people. And then let's see if there's a third level header. See what that looks like. We'll call it special people. We'll call it. There you go. And the renderings, it looks like, the fastness of it. It might be kind of a trivial thing, but it has consequence, so it's nice. Now, one of the styling decisions that they made was after these first level headers. So the first level headers are centered. They're given a Roman numeral in front of them. They're numbered consecutively, but then they have this line. I kind of like that horizontal line. So that's coming with a first level heading specification. The second level header, it's at the bottom here. The second level header that we specified, we did a few of them, so we'll take a look. It's left justified, lowercase, Roman numeral, italicized, and they are numbering consecutively within the first level header sections. The third level header is coming in as a kind of a bullet, so it's numbering with what do you call a number? Is that if Roman numerals? Diego, help me out here. You got a PhD. If this is a Roman numeral, what do you call a regular number? Is that Arabic?
Arabic? Yeah,
Arabic?
yeah, it would be
Arabic
Arabic.
number? Okay. Then we got a bunch of other Arabic numbers, but those are just from an image. And then more first level headers that we didn't play with. There's some second level headers as well. I would think on a conference poster, you probably only want first and second level headers. I don't know. I would definitely play with this. I would definitely use this. So I think, next time I do a conference poster, I'll probably try one using this. I don't. What do you think, Diego? It, I mean, other than column specification, it's got, there's some decisions that are made for you stylistically. I know you probably don't care because you care more about content than style, I think. But like, do you care where this image is on the larger poster?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't really like this poster a whole lot. It's a bit too, I don't know. Um,
Diego, I put a lot of time and energy into this poster.
yeah, no,
I'm
I
being
mean,
critical.
too much white.
Too much white. All right. Well, I mean, is that? Yeah, that's not an option that they have built in. I kind of appreciate not having too many options there to tweak. Um, it's kind of nice to have. I appreciate having some of those decisions made for us, I think. But I'm definitely going to try this. I think next time I have to do a poster. Because,
What if you wanna make it red? You know, have a red box at the
yeah,
top, at the bottom. You know, like we had it for the one we did,
yeah,
showing the colors of whatever institution you did the research with.
yeah. No, I get it. I get it. So if you wanted to, so if you wanted a little more control over some of those stylistic features, maybe take a look at poster down, right? Or if you really, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say if you really, 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 really wanted to customize it, you can always do, like PowerPoint or what traditionally what people have done. I I think I'm full on board with always using a package at this point to create these things, just because I don't know, it's the way everything else should be structured. So why not do it with conference posters too? All right. Well, that's all I wanted to really do was take a look at this option as well as the default document. I don't know that we need another week on typist. We'll see. I'll take a little deeper look, and if there's anything neat looking that we didn't cover, maybe we'll do one more week. But Diego, have a good time in Denver. Say hi to everyone for me. Sorry I can't be there with you guys. Are we? So we're not meeting tomorrow, right? You're going to be traveling.
Yes, I'm traveling tomorrow at 12,
Okay.
and I arrive there at like 4 something. So it's 2 hours flight because time.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, just go have good conference stuff and have a good time, and don't worry about that. We'll meet next week.
Okay.
All
Yeah, I'll
right.
tell everyone to have a drink in your name.
All
Probably
right.
space girl.
All right. I appreciate that. All right. Have a good time.
Okay, see you
See
later.
ya.
Bye.